So welcome everyone to the information session on the WashU Sustainability Fund. My name is Heather Craig. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm the sustainability coordinator for the School of Medicine.
And hello, everyone. My name is Amna Anwar. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the sustainability coordinator in WashU's Office of Sustainability.
So today, we're going to cover how this fund can be used, help you learn how to submit the most effective proposal, and then what to expect if your application is chosen, like what the timeline will be, how payment will be reimbursed, that sort of thing. And so the Sustainability Fund is a fund of up to $2,500 that staff, faculty, and students have the opportunity to submit campus sustainability project ideas for this funding consideration. Upon completion of the project, the Office of Sustainability will reimburse the applicant's department, and department supervisors must approve projects before they're initiated, just so that, everybody knows what's going on. And then due to fund and capacity limitations, not every submission can be chosen for the Sustainability Fund, unfortunately. We wish that we could fund everyone and everything, but due to limitations, we'll only be selecting a few.
Oh, sorry, was that your slide?
I think it's fine.
So submissions are divided into two categories. Category 1 will include projects that can be managed by the applicant themselves, and they're generally a one-time investment. And then category 2 will include projects of a larger scope generally that may require the involvement of additional stakeholders, and it may be a one-time or a continued investment. So if selected, the Office of Sustainability will provide support with identifying partners and a project pathway for those category 2 projects. And priority will be given to projects that take into account the following 4 criteria. So projects that are within your department's scope and realm of influence to ensure the ability to implement the project. The reduction of university greenhouse gas emissions, waste and or water use. A project that benefits and or enhances access for a diverse set of university stakeholders, and then also has longevity and breadth of project impact. And so we'll go into some examples of eligible projects. For category 1, we have 2 examples. The OFMD, or the Office of Facilities
Operations and Facilities Management Department.
Thank you, Heather. I should have written it out for myself in my notes. So the OFMD custodial department purchased reusable laundry bags to replace single-use plastic laundry bags across the medical campus, which would significantly reduce plastic use. So this project would be eligible because it is within the realm of the custodial team. It reduces waste very significantly, and it's a project that can last a very long time. So it's a one-time investment, but the breadth of the project is in perpetuity eventually, essentially. The second example is the commencement office purchased large outdoor water dispensers to eliminate single-use water containers for large events like commencement. So this project would be eligible because it is within the realm of influence for the commencement office, and it has a large impact due to the amount of waste that it would decrease, and the large event size. And it's also something that can be repeated annually across different large events. For the second category, so the Danforth campus reusable to-go container program is an example here. So initially this program, it was proposed by students for student dining, and it had a very significant impact on waste diversion. The project required input, approval, and funding from multiple stakeholders. It was not just something that the students could request and implement. Another example would be a surgeon wanting to implement a new waste stream collection in the operating room with including ongoing educational training and signage. So this project may be eligible if the surgeon coordinated with the custodial team, BJ, EH&S, if they determined feasibility of the recycling stream and identified a recycling facility, and if they also developed an education plan to implement the project. The Office of Sustainability could potentially assist with some elements of this, like trainings and signage. And then considering like the project impact, we would ask, you know, how would they plan to implement this in other operating rooms across the hospital? And should I share the other example, Heather?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we have one additional example, which is in occupational therapy. There has been an interest in growing an indoor hydroponic garden to bring community members in as part of their occupational therapy practices. So this project would be eligible because it is largely within the sphere of influence of occupational therapy. Although there would be some consultation required with the landscape team and EH&S, this project would improve indoor air quality and it would benefit a diverse population. In order to approve this project, there would need to be a schedule of maintenance of the hydroponic garden, and obviously the approval of grounds team and EH&S. And so we would want to see those plans to ensure that the project would be ongoing.
So we wanted to also share some projects that would likely not get chosen for this fund. These are some of the things that we get asked about frequently, but don't really speak to the purpose of the fund. So I'll go through these. Funds for speaker honoraria. The fund is really intended for ongoing projects and really impactful projects. So having a one-time education event would not necessarily speak to the purpose of the fund. Covered bike parking proposed by an active commuter to make it more convenient for their office. This is a pretty big project, actually. I know that it seems like, why can't we just add a roof here? But it actually requires a lot of input from a diverse departments and is pretty expensive. And so to just make, biking to campus more convenient for one office or one person would not be an appropriate use of this fund. Another example is updating the sprinkler systems to not, a lot of people have concerns about the sprinkler systems going when it's raining. But an employee that isn't connected to the grounds or landscaping department, there are reasons why the sprinklers go at the times that they do. We have the grounds team, they're the educational experts, or sorry, they're the content experts on the sprinkler system. And unless you're connected to the grounds team and you have an idea of how something like that could be improved, that's not really something that we would consider. And then the last is adding composting in break rooms. We have a ton of resources for composting on campus. You could do something, easy like having one dedicated employee collecting composting and bringing it to a designated other location on campus. But it wouldn't be the best use of our funds to pay for a composting pickup for a specific department or break room.
All right, so I guess tips here on submitting a successful proposal. So things that you will be asked You'll be asked to describe your sustainability project idea and why your project is a good candidate for this fund based on the criteria that we outlined. You will be asked to provide an estimated budget breakdown and timeline for the project, so start to completion. And then you'll be asked whether you have supervisor approval to manage the project, whether you have the capacity and availability for taking on the project, who you plan to collaborate with on this project if needed, and the ways that your project addresses the 4 priorities of, within your sphere of influence, quantifiable impact on sustainability outcomes, benefits a diverse group of university stakeholders, and then the longevity and breadth of the project.
So after you submit, and we forgot to mention that we'll have time after this for questions, or if you want to run through your project idea, we'll have time for that. But what to expect after submission. So the deadline is January 31st, 2024, and the Sustainability Fund Review Committee, which is myself, Amna, Cassie, and Phil, will be reviewing in early February, and we'll let you know either way whether your submission has been chosen the following week. So February, I think that's the 19th, that week. If your application has been, I think you'll go to the next slide, Amna. Thank you. So if your submission is selected, you should plan to meet with the Sustainability Fund Review Committee to finalize details. There's probably some parts that you'll need to talk through with us. We want it to be collaborative, although we want you to take ownership and leadership of the project. We understand that we're here as a resource to help you figure out some of that stuff. And then as far as how the reimbursement process will work, your department will make the initial purchase or the initial investment, whatever that looks like for your project, and that will be reimbursed by the Office of Sustainability. We will offer a letter of guarantee for reimbursement so that when you're, presenting your project idea to your department head, like we mentioned, you need department head approval. You can say the Office of Sustainability will supply something that says, yes, we will pay this, so that it's not just word of mouth. We will require proof of project completion to receive reimbursement. What that looks like for every project will be different. So some examples, we had the laundry bag examples, the reusable laundry bags. So receipts of those purchases, photos of them in use, potentially information on how much waste was reduced because of that. But we also don't want to make it a burden to develop this, lengthy report afterwards. So just some sort of form of proof. For the hydroponic garden that we mentioned, proof of completion for that would look a little bit different. We would have documented approval from all of the different partners, receipts, a community engagement plan, potentially a maintenance plan like Amna mentioned, and then also photos of the hydroponic garden in use would be great. And then we ask to please allow for up to 4 weeks for reimbursement to be processed. I think that's, and we have more examples for each of those projects for what proof of completion might look like. But I think that's all that we wanted to cover. And so we'll leave a lot of space for everyone if they have questions or want to talk through any of your project ideas.
I'll stop sharing, and if anyone wants to jump in and ask a question, please feel free to do so. Or if you want to walk through your project idea, totally okay too.
Or if you have questions about why some of the things that we mentioned wouldn't get funded, we're happy to talk in more detail about those.
So I have a question. So HR is thinking of replacing our paper towels with hand towels. And in order to do that, we reached out to WashU Wash, that student-run business, and we would purchase the towels and they could pick them up like once or twice a week, depending on how many towels we purchase. That would, what would your advice be, I guess, if we went that route? Would this be something that you guys would approve? It, like the funding, depending on what, like maybe in the future, like if we utilize your funding for this year, then we can get approval from HR to fund it next year. It's like sustainable in the sense that the towels are here and we would, you know, we would be reducing paper towel use, but we would still have to pay for the service for them to get washed and then bring them back.
That's a good question. I think it would depend on the impact. So like how many offices, is it the whole, would it be the whole building, like for the link? Or
Just the third floor, just the HR suite. Mhm.
what do you think, Amna?
Yeah, so I think that is an awesome project. My guess would be upon receiving like that application, we would want like a maintenance plan for it, sort of. So after the first year, like, you know, you make that initial investment of the towels, we would want to make sure that's a good investment that you continue using on an ongoing basis. And so
Yeah.
I'm not sure what exactly that would look like, but probably, you know, a department head signing off on like, in the future, we will include this in our budget, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
as an ongoing fee for the washing portion of
yeah.
it.
I would also suggest, I'm not sure if you've already looked into this, but the Circularity Center might already have towels, hand towels that you could repurpose. And so there would be, Cassie, correct me if I'm wrong, but there would be no cost associated with that. And it would just be the cost of the laundry service.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I'll make a note to look into that. That'd be good. Sweet.
But it seems like it would be a pretty low budget project, which we're also
I
open
love
to.
that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sweet. Thank you.
Mhm. Erica, did you have a lab specific project in mind?
I wasn't actually sure. I wanted to talk over with our division sustainability team. Would a lab specific project be in scope?
So one of the things that we talked about the operating room waste stream implementation, but there are a lot of areas of opportunity for lab waste as well. I think that there are a lot of, you know, specialty recycling streams that are available, but the thing that we would be interested in would be the impact and like having a plan to expand it beyond just your lab. Like you said, you've been working with your division. So if the entire division wanted to implement a specific specialty waste stream, that would be something that we would consider. And it would just be, you know, finding, okay, what would the most impactful recycling stream be? And would we have an outlet for it locally?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Brandon, Liz, or Abby, did you have any ideas that you wanted to talk through?
So I guess I'm wondering, I know on main campus, so I'm in the program in OT on the med campus. And I know on main campus, there was a big push for the like bamboo utensils and things like that. On the med campus, I know one of the barriers we run into with having more sustainable items is just that there's patients everywhere and things have to be much more like sterile. And so like one-time use things are more just like easier, right, to like deal with.
Mhm.
So I'm just thinking through the different barriers, but like just in terms of one thing we've been talking about is can we get rid of the single-use plastics in our different office spaces? And I'm wondering if you all, I would assume that's something that comes up fairly often in your
Yes.
in these sorts of proposals. So, you know, like, how do those things go when you get that request? Because that's something we've just started talking about.
Mm-hmm. So we also have at the Circularity Center reusable dish sets that Cassie has been working on disseminating to different offices across campus. I don't know if those also include utensil sets as well. But again, depending on the impact, the scale, like how many offices would be converting, you know, I think that we generally would encourage a one-off office to invest in reusable dishes for their office on their own. But if it's something like the entire department is wanting to switch, that would be something that we would be interested in talking more about. And Cassie
Okay, great.
just left a note. Thanks, Cassie. And we also encourage everyone to join the Green Office program or Green Lab program if you aren't already. A lot of these resources are listed through those programs, and we can help you, you know, find access to resources like the Circularity Center and WashU Reuse through that program. Liz or Brandon, did you have any ideas you wanted to?
I was gonna actually maybe kind of do the composting, but I saw that was directly one of the ones that, so maybe back to the drawing board and we'll have until the 31st.
Yeah, and we are you on the Med campus or the Danforth campus?
Med campus.
My campus? Okay. So yeah, like I mentioned, I can email you after this as well, but if your office or lab or break room, whatever, is interested in implementing composting, I can help you figure out how to do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question. So are past projects published anywhere so we can get inspiration from other departments?
This is actually the first year of,
Oh,
yes.
okay. So but our projects will be published if they're selected so that people can maybe use them for their own departments?
That's what we're hoping to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we definitely want this to be like a celebration of different departments' initiatives and because a lot of people I think don't think about what they can do within their own sphere. So
Yeah, and our team is currently brainstorming ideas, but they have one good one, which I already submitted a proposal for, but we're going
great.
to do a resubmittal because we're going to make it a little more elaborate, but hopefully that'll be accepted.
which we haven't looked through it yet, but what's the general idea?
So one person brought up the idea of rocket books, which are like those electronic kind of iPads where your handwriting is uploaded to the cloud and you can make drawings and you can come back to it later and doodle. So that's something that I submitted a proposal for just for like a handful of our staff to have rocket books purchased for them to see if it is a good fit for our department. But a lot of people were really thrilled about this idea. So hopefully it gets accepted.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
It's very cool.
Cool. Well, I don't know if Cassie or Phil, if either of you had anything else that you wanted to share about the fund or the future of the fund.
Well, I'll just simply say we're really grateful that all of you are interested. And yeah, exactly. You covered everything very well. So since this is our first year, we'll also be eager to get your feedback about the process and guidance we've provided. So, you know, keep that in mind as you go through it. If there are things that we can do better or differently next time, please share that feedback and we'll make sure that we can tune it for version 2.0. But thank you everyone for taking the time out today. Thanks for coordinating with your teams to generate ideas. Our team is far, far bigger because folks like yourselves are out in the world being champions within your spheres of influence. So we're tremendously grateful for all you do.
Thanks, Phil.
And if you have any questions as you're going through the submission, or if you make a mistake or whatever, you can email myself or Amna at any time and we can help you navigate through that or talk through anything. Cool.
All right. Thank you
Well,
all
no
so much
one-
for taking time out of your day. And we're really, really excited to start looking through the proposals.
Thank you so much.
Yep. And we'll stay on for a second if anybody has a question that they want to ask without the group.
Okay.
We'll hang on.
All right.